So, hey guys, hey internet, it's been a hot minute since we've actually posted any really interesting videos, I guess. We've been testing our waters a little bit, if you've noticed, the last few days with some live streams, and that's just because I'm trying to figure out the logistics of everything. Um, and it's proven to have a technical difficulty in that I have to make a choice between either I play music fully the entire time, or I figure out a way to hook up my microphone so that I can at least answer questions from time to time, and so you don't always have to hear music. The limitations of certain things, and then just like the amount of research that goes into it. Anyway, I digress. That's like a whole nerdy music whole nerdy art tech nerd moment for another day. Anyway, so tonight is the first time lapse from like in a while. Granted, I've been sitting on these drawings since June, and if you follow me on Instagram, you've definitely seen them. It's those dead people that I was drawing, and it's kind of a continuation of my Dead and Loving It series that I started on this channel. I think we started it with Salvador Dali, and then we drew Dimebag, and we were going to draw some other characters, and then we just got sidetracked. And it's kind of funny how sometimes you encounter things in life and they kind of just jump start you all over again. You're like, hey, no, wait a second. I was working on this project, and you want to know something? We're going back to it. So there was this person on Instagram who does, I guess, monthly doodle drawing things. I'm not the type of person to follow those things. I just recently started, especially with my Gur Invader Zim cartoon drawing series that I did a while back. I'll leave a link to that somewhere up here in case you're curious about that Invader Zim doodle drawing thing. And if not, no worries. But she goes by Lemmy Art, Lemmy_art. I'll leave it down below. Can't talk. I'll leave it down below in case you are curious and you want to get into like the whole doodling, doing a doodle every day in the month. She's a totally cool person to follow. There's a few others. If I can think of them, I'll leave them down below, especially if you're the type of person who is like up for a creative challenge and you don't have a real way to basically stimulate yourself into drawing shit, because sometimes life is hard and you don't want to draw and you just want to say fuck the world. It's kind of funny because I've managed to fill an entire sketchbook this year. Well, actually, it's probably going to be leaning on more towards 2 sketchbooks, possibly 3, which is very, very productive in my eyes, considering I probably average like a sketchbook every 2 years. I think before, not that I was really keeping track, sometimes I wouldn't finish the sketchbook, but I thought it would be kind of cool because I'm actually going to have something to show this year for a sketchbook tour, because I've never done one of those either. That's something somewhere down the road. Anyway, I digress. So I guess in a nutshell, in case you are curious, there are tons of artists out there. If you're into like the whole monthly doodling thing, I'm one that participates. I don't necessarily create lists. Maybe that's something to do in the future. But she kind of, Lemmy Art kind of inspired me to start redrawing, or start drawing again, specifically these dead characters. She did this monthly, So Lemmy Art did this month of dead people, and I thought it was really freaking cool because I started to look at the list and I was like, I've always wanted to draw them. Ooh, that sounds cool. And then it brought me back to, hey, Alethea, you were doing a Dead and Loving It series. You can always draw these dead people without the eyes, and it kind of goes with the flow. And I was like, can I? And it became kind of a challenge, this whole idea of drawing the character with the absence of the eyes. Can you still recognize them? And it was kind of a cool challenge that I put myself up to, beyond what Lemmy Art did. So if you are looking for some way to challenge yourself, definitely check out Instagram, because there's like, not only is it like, I guess like, there's the bad sides of Instagram, which you can become kind of like envious of other artists and other things like that. But then there's like this other side where there's people pushing other people to do shit, which I think is really freaking cool. And those are the little positive sides of the internet that I like to take away. But yeah, I found this whole world of like monthly doodles, and I'm like, a month of what? Doodles, really? Oh, cool. And so she kind of helped jumpstart the idea of going back to this series that I just completely quit on. So a lot of these characters that I never intend on drawing became a part of the series, I guess, in a little bit of way. And I got back into doodling. So tonight's doodle is Edgar Allan Poe. And I thought it would be fun to share some fun facts about Edgar Allan Poe. And yes, I know his name is misspelled. I want to say it's because whoever wrote it that way, so I wrote it that way. And I didn't think about it at the time. It looked kind of weird, but didn't think about it. Anyway, I thought it'd be fun to talk about Edgar Allan Poe as the drawing unfolds and give some fun facts about him. And yeah.
I'm seeing things that aren't real. I'm seeing things I shouldn't see. I'm dreaming things I've never seen.
You're beginning to think in images, concrete images.
Hey guys, and welcome to back to this Dead and Loving It series. Thank you to LMAO for actually kind of giving us the push that we didn't know we needed until it happened. But I'm so grateful because I have over 31 drawings to share with you guys over the next upcoming months. So first one up is, like I told you guys already, is Edgar Allan Poe. And I thought we'd go with some fun facts instead of doing the music. And in case you guys want the music, we'll do the music next time. So let me know down in the comments below if you're more of a you like to hear the talkie or you just like to hear the music, let the drawing come to life type situation. Because it's been a curiosity of mine as of recently, because it's kind of neck and neck when I do doodles. Sometimes people like the talking videos, some people like the drawing and the music videos. Anyway, let me know down in the comments below. And anyway, onward to tonight and Edgar Allan Poe. So, Edgar Allan Poe, otherwise known as the unofficial patron saint of the morbid and the Gothic granddaddy of American literature. Poe was born back in 1809 in Boston to actors David and Elizabeth. So his parents were basically both performing in Shakespeare's King Lear the year that he was born, leading to speculation that he was actually named after the play's Earl's son, who happened to be called Edgar. So, born in 1809, following year, Dad decides to just pick up and leave. He abandoned the family in 1810, and his mother sadly died the following year. And for some reason, he was taken in by John and Frances Allen, who never really formally adopted him, but he stayed with them well until his young adulthood. He ended up attending the University of Virginia, but left after a year due to lack of money. And honestly, John Allen and Poe often fought about money, and it's kind of funny because it was especially about gambling and Poe's post-secondary education, which he was like, no, I want to study. And so Poe was like, screw this, and he says, I'm going to enlist in the army. So supposedly he enlists in the army in 1827 under an assumed name. And it was around this time that his publishing career began to take off, especially with Tamerlane and other poems credited only as a Bostonian. So basically, he publishes this work, and shortly after, I think his mother, quote-unquote, the woman who raised him, Frances Allen, ends up passing away in 1829. And Edgar and John decide to reconcile for like a little bit, and they're like, oh, this happened. But basically, Poe being Poe, he's going to do something, right? He ends up basically failing as an officer, declaring a firm wish that he wants to be a poet, and just basically tells John Allen, you know what, F you. And they part ways. He didn't really say F you, but in a kind of roundabout way. I want to think he said F you. You want to think of these characters as badass, or am I wrong? Anyway, let me know your comments down below. But Poe worked for several literary journals, basically being a critic and basically having his own style of literary criticism. His work forced him to move to several cities, and then eventually he married his cousin Virginia Clem in 1836. In 1845, his poem, The Raven, was basically published, and it was an instant success. But Virginia died of tuberculosis 2 years after its publication, so he had nobody to share this, like, with, I guess. And it's kind of funny because Poe later, I think this is kind of where it becomes kind of like, oh, that just sucks. And it makes you wonder about all artists. Like, nobody plans to just basically die or pass away before you've created your masterpiece or your biggest work. And so basically Poe had planned for years that he was going to do his own journal, and he was going to call it The Pen, but then it was like, I think they renamed it The Stylus afterwards. And he had very little backing to it, and despite this, he had basically hired somebody to do original drawings for it, and because of a pandemic in 1837, which related to money, which related to things, people spending money, he ended up dying in 1847. Basically, people weren't willing to basically back him because of this pandemic, and so he never achieved having the funds, despite putting many ads out, to basically have this journal published. And I think it's kind of cool because, like, you're talking about a guy who way back in the day wanted to make like a zine, and because essentially that's kind of what I think of journals as from back in the day. Correct me if I'm wrong, feel free, please. You know, creating these literary works, and he had already hired somebody to do the illustrations, and then you never get to see your idea to fruition, and you die, and there it is in the sands of time, and you're like, but I think it's really cool because there's supposedly a society, I forget whereabouts right now, probably in the same region as him. It's either in Boston or it's in, I can't think of the other city right off the top of my head because I didn't write it down in my notes, damn it. But that keeps his stuff alive, and I'm kind of curious if anybody's actually done anything with the word in terms of a zine, you know, the pen or the stylus. I'm pretty sure the pen has probably, like, basically the University of Pennsylvania, they probably have that as their thing. Anyway, I digress. If you like this doodle, definitely hit the like button down below. It took 50 minutes to ink, draw, and create. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing awesome, and definitely subscribe if you're into this. And like I said, we're doing live streams. Still have to figure out the whole audio portion and the adding another camera so you guys can see me type situation. But other than that, I guess we'll figure that part out. Anyway, hope you guys are doing awesome. Bye.
Whatever it is that you believe you're seeing, it's not real.
Seeing things before they happen.
Things are not always what they seem in this place. So you can't take anything for granted.